Okay, it sure is now. Thank you very much.
Just so
Great.
everybody's aware, we're now recording.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Sorry you missed out on being recorded, Hildegard. Do you want to go again? No. Oh, okay, all right. So that now we've got that sorted. I'm going to talk very briefly to a recent trip that Byron and I undertook in Niue. If, as I said before, if there's anything that captures your imagination or you'd like to know a little bit more about, please type it in the chat or reach out to us later. But the trip to Niue at the beginning of March is the Pacific Bee Project's first in-country mission. So it was very exciting. We've been working towards that since 2023. It contributes to output one of the project. There are 7 countries who are currently beneficiary members who will be receiving these in-country visits. Niue is one of them. We also have our friends from Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa. I might have actually mentioned a couple of you twice, but that's because you're extra special. So we went there, and what did we do? I'd like to share a little bit about what we did on the ground. Primarily, we were there to have a look at honeybee pests and diseases. This is Byron in a sparkling, clean white bee suit. Looks like he's never done a day's worth of work in his life there, Byron. But the reason we take fresh bee suits, obviously, is for biosecurity reasons. And then we leave all of the gear over there in Niue. So this is Byron about to take a look in some brood boxes for visual signs of AFB, American foul brood, European foul brood, external mites such as Varroa or Tropilelaps, small hive beetle or unwanted genetics, Apis cerana and the like. While we were out there in the beehives, we also gathered sample pots, 300 adult bees from 10 apiaries, doused in a bit of ethanol to preserve them. And then those adult samples have been brought back to New Zealand through our biosecurity system and delivered to one of our diagnostic labs for testing. So together with the hives and the apiaries that we saw on the ground, we're able to get some baseline apiary data together with those test results to support trade claims, freedom from sorts of things. And we'll be doing that in those other countries we mentioned as well. But we didn't just do that. We met with trade and biosecurity officials and industry representatives while we were there. We had some really important discussions on the capacity for expansion in the industry. How can we get bigger? Should we get bigger? How can we do it safely without causing a risk? What's the impact that increased beekeeping activities might have on other non-target organisms? So by increasing our beekeeping activities, could we accidentally be spreading other nasty things we don't want around the place? So we have to be conscious of that as well. And also we want to assess the inclusion of various sectors of the community and how they're benefiting from the apiculture industry. So when we think about expansion, we want to think about carefully and mindfully. Now onto the cool bit, a very quick look at some Niuean honeybees. Quite lovely and yellow, as you can see there. Mellifera ligustica stock from New Zealand. Not from the missionaries, I believe, but the 1960s, a New Zealand beekeeper. He ended the business rather abruptly, and another beekeeper from New Zealand brought the business in the 2000s. But remarkably, he managed to find some existing stock from back in the day that had just kept itself going in the jungle, which is quite incredible. All was going very well. The last time that Niue had bees brought in from somewhere else in New Zealand would be in about 2000. Again, Apis mellifera ligustica, and none since then. And all was going very well until Cyclone Heta decimated the industry in 2004. Ever since then, they've been rebuilding internally from what they had and doing a fantastic job. You can see there lots of lovely bee bread for the bees. They gather lots of pollen, a very healthy brood frame. One of the Niue Honey Company employee, Sam. Sam got some hands-on training while we were there in Niue, and we'll also be delivering hands-on training in your countries when we come. We'll be tailoring that to the needs before we go. So we'll be working closely together with you to figure out what that is. And I'm just going to run through super quickly on this. You can see there the hives in the jungle. The way that they beekeep with the Niue Honey Company is symptomatic of the lovely disease status of the bees there. It's not the way that we would recommend beekeeping in a lot of other places, and certainly not in New Zealand. But these bees get fairly little intervention or management. Maybe get brood inspection once a year, maybe, or twice a year. They operate with walkaway splits, so eggs and food in one box and then queen in the other box, and away you go. And there is just the one beekeeping company which owns all of the hives, about 3,000 hives and 20 apiaries. They have strong year-round forage. It's been a long time since anyone really looked into what that consisted of, but primarily coconut, noni, and canopy. A beautiful, strong, dark, sweet honey. They harvest by the frame. They don't carry around the boxes, as and when is possible. Really impressive bee strength. And I would like to say, by looking at those pictures, that you cannot judge a bee by its boxes. They really are something nice on the inside, although the weather takes its toll on them. It's a case of man versus machine versus jungle, as you can see. Just a couple of quick pics there that we took. This is the honey house, owned by the beekeeping company who extracts their own honey there. The honey truck, and the honey man, Andrew Corey. And he is demonstrating the approximate level of smoke you need to keep those bees calm. And to wrap up, a couple of quick learnings. So from the cyclone, it completely defoliated the island, pretty much ripped away any of the food source that the bees had for a while. They were very weak colonies, so they had to be nursed back to health by sugar syrup in tiny small plastic bags with a slit in it. They now keep stores of sugar as security against cyclone season, and they very rarely harvest honey during that cyclone season. The other learning is concrete. So they have devised molds for concrete using local aggregate. These are more robust against the weather conditions and don't get knocked around so much by cyclones. You can see there that they're weighed down with some concrete bases on the top. Not easy for lifting around, but then they don't move the beehives around. So very different to New Zealand again. Thank you very much, Whakauilahi, the Niue Honey Company, for your time and your help and your support. Richie Duncan, if you're on the call at the moment, I'm not sure if you managed to make it with us, but if you had a moment to share, say g'day or share any
Yep.
stories. Oh, wonderful.
Can you
Hi.
hear me? Yeah,
I
apologies for
can hear
being
you.
late.
No,
Yep.
that's all good. Hi.
Hang on. Let me see if I can get this going. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. Great to see you all. Man, there's a big bunch of you. You're doing well. Get everyone together in one place. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been with the New Honey Company for probably, well, I was around 25 years ago when Andy came on island and bought the company. But I've been working with them for 10 years now, I guess. And it was only going to be a couple year project to launch a product in New Zealand. And it's been 10 now. I look back, I think things take longer than you think, don't they? And so we're doing kind of that at the moment. We've launched into New Zealand, now in Australia, and we're hoping to get into other markets. And yeah, so it's been a labor of love. And it's Andy's been there 25 years now, over 25 years, and kept the bees alive through all those cyclones and all the dramas that happen. And in fact, we've got a cyclone heading to New Zealand. You'll all be interested to know. I've just been battening the hatches at home, getting my son to put everything underneath. And yeah, I'm not used to getting hot cyclones here, but there you go. So yeah, and we're happy to, if anyone's got questions or wants to visit or wants to do whatever, come get in touch, and I'm sure Lorna can pass on all the details if mine aren't there already. And we're just so when I came on board, it was yeah. I mean, I'm not a beekeeper. I make that confession now. Sorry, everybody. I've had to learn that skill over the years, usually the hard way. Um, Rule number one: when you get a bee in your veil, don't rip your veil off. Okay, I've learned that lesson. Anyway, so I'm an economist by trade. So my interest was more in the bee sanctuary side of things and protecting the bee stock, and basically the regional getting the regional project going. It was always too big for me and Andy, and so it's been so great to have Alona and Byron and others get on board and really take it to the region and make it, otherwise be another 10 years go by and we still be talking about it. So we're really, really, really thankful for that. And we're trying hard to keep those bees, keep them disease free. We're always constantly talking to the government about biosecurity measures and enhancements. And and so that's us. And I'm glad to meet you all. And as I say, we're always available, not so much me on the beekeeping side, but more on the marketing and the product development side, and the bee sanctuary side, but more Andy on specific. There's a lot of lessons he learned operating the Pacific, which is slightly different. There's a few nuances to doing it. He was beekeeping in New Zealand for many years before we went to Niue, so he knows the differences and he knows how to tweak things, and so we're happy to pass on those learnings as well. So yeah.
Thank you. Thanks
Yep.
so much, Richie. That's
Yep.
absolutely awesome. Yeah, it was certainly a great trip. And we were blessed with the weather for sure that week.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, just conscious of the time. This next section here, what's on session, I'm going to only very briefly touch on where we're up to with the Pacific Bee Project and then open the floor. If you can see that date range there, we've got a 3-year life cycle for the Pacific Bee Project. The project started in July 2025, although we were delayed with commencement slightly. We've only just really started this year working on it, and then we run through to September 2028. The green highlighted section is when we'll be looking to do the in-country visits that we've just been talking about for those regions, and together with that, at the same time, delivering the hands-on training. Aside from that, we are establishing ongoing extension support, such as what we're doing here today, throughout the life of the project, for beneficiary and non-beneficiary members as well. It's for everybody to connect, the whole region, so spread as widely as you can. We're all in this together, we're all neighbours. And then output 3 is what Hildegard was telling us about before with the Pacific Apiculture Network. Our next steps, we hope to say talofa to Samoa at the end of July and the beginning of August to undertake some of those activities there. That's very brief from me. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to share with what's happening for them on the ground in their community by way of project or initiatives or anything happening you want to share? Always feel free to just pop something in the chat or reach out to us later. It's not always comfortable just speaking up, especially if you're not prepared to do so. But in the future, hopefully I will be shoulder tapping people to present some country spotlights.
Ilona,
Ilona, do you
Cecilia
have
from the
any
Cook Islands.
other? Oh,
Yes. Cecilia, sorry?
Yeah, it's Cecilia from the Cook Islands. Look, thank you for the invite for us to join this forum. I guess my question is, and thank you for the presentation thus far. I just want to jump in because I note that the Cook Islands is not part of the project at this stage. Is there a possibility for the Cook Islands to be included somewhere, somehow down the line?
100%. Yep, that's certainly. I can tell you that that PIFS and the Hildegard and the PIFS team are working on the inclusion of other nations. What we're delivering now for the Pacific Bee Project, just very briefly, is the really cut down version of a larger project. We're delivering 3 pillars out of an original 9, which is going to be a multi-year project, including other member nations. So we weren't able to include everybody right from the outset, but I know that they are certainly working on doing so for the future years. But please keep in touch with us in this forum, and I'll probably divert to Hildegard to answer any future questions on that, but we'll take a note, and then we can certainly communicate with you after this as well, Cecilia, if you like.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Me taki.
Hi, Ilona, it's David Cramp here. Do you have any dates for other islands such as Tonga, or have you only the one so far?
We've not concrete. We don't have future dates set in stone just yet. Samoa is our next tentative one, but after that, it hasn't been decided yet.
Okay, thanks.
Is there a specific? You're finishing up your work in Tonga now. Is that correct?
That's correct, but someone will be taking over from me, and I just wondered if you had made any decision on timings yet. Nothing's urgent.
Great. And it would be great to get in touch with your replacement as well. When we do start planning the in-country arrangements, we would have a lead time of at least 3 months, so we can start reaching out to people and make sure that we're complying with their surveillance and biosecurity and doing all the ground arrangements. So there's certainly plenty of notification beforehand.
Oh, that's great. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for joining.
And a question from the chat, Ilona, around biosecurity. Question: will the project assist the Pacific countries to improve enforced biosecurity measures like in New Zealand and Australia?
That is a fantastic question. And it probably needs to be part of a deeper dive one day into the full PIFS project, the full bee project that we were hoping to get off the ground. But there is certainly one of the outputs or the pillars of the larger project was about harmonizing biosecurity across the region. It wasn't possible under this initial stage of the project, but 100% we realized the critical nature of that.
Thank you. And another, Ilona, just a request for dates for Samoa. Oh, actually, sorry, Hildegard's just replied, so all good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Great. Thanks, Byron. Anything else on the what's on or the open floor or the who's doing what in country? No, all good. That's absolutely fine.
Hi, Ilona. Hi.
Hi.
It's Romain from New Caledonia. I'm so glad to connect and reconnect with some of you. It's very glad that. I was wondering if maybe within the 3 years of the project, you plan to have another Pacific Bee Congress, because you are talking about the first one, which was wonderful, and I think many of us are waiting for another kind of event like this.
Oh, so much so. I learned so much about your Pacific, about your various beekeeping nations by the presentations at that Bee Congress. It was absolutely fantastic. And I think certainly that's something that, if not Cooper and his team would like to do, we will be launching towards the end of the project, the Pacific Apiculture Network and Value Chain and all those other things. So that would be amazing. Not immediately, but certainly, Romain, that is something that we would absolutely love to do. So much value comes out of those sessions.
Another vote for the Bee Congress out of the chat, Ilona.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, when we were designing this project, that Bee Congress informed a lot of our decision making, didn't it, Byron? About that need for regional connection and collaboration. We heard it loud and clear. So, absolutely.
Ilona, Ilona,
Yes.
if I can just ask a question. It's Cecilia again from the Cook Islands.
Hello.
Hi. I'm intrigued with Niue honey. Because I note that Niue is exporting their honey to New Zealand. And I'm quite aware with the strict biosecurity process New Zealand has with honey coming into the country. Is Niue able to export to New Zealand based on their disease status, or are there other contributing factors to enable them to export to New Zealand, to export their honey to New Zealand?
Okay, I missed the very first part of that, but I gather that just generally the question is Niue do and how can they do this? Yes, a large part of what we were doing over there was to be able to continue the country attestations and the declarations which enable them to export their honey into New Zealand. We do have incredibly strict biosecurity measures, but the Niuean pest and disease status is such that the government accepts the import of honey from Niue.
Okay, thank you. Metaki.
Possibly add a little bit more, Ilona.
Please.
Just by way of history, Niue has for some time been specifically identified in one of our import health standards for bee products as a country that's able to import honey. But interestingly, for some on the call here, is that other Pacific Island countries have also historically been included in our import health standards. So New Zealand does have a history of allowing imports from the Pacific for countries that have a demonstrated freedom of or disease-free status, I should say. So yes, that's has been a possibility in the past and could be in the future.
Thank you very much, Byron. Great.
Yorana, Ilona, it's Alistair here. Just a question too to follow on with the topic right now. Having access to export your honey to New Zealand, as in Niue's case, would that also include then that you wouldn't be able to import foreign honey into the country? Does that help? Like, I take it that Niue won't be importing foreign honey into Niue. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. So we have an agreement with the government where everything is there's no honey allowed in, there's no bee products allowed in. Even the gear we bring in is all brand new gear. We put new drums every time. We have to bring drums up, so we go as strict as we can. We don't take any gear unless it's new between the two countries. So yeah, it's pretty strict in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, we're discussing that here at the moment too, that we're trying to supply our own market so we can stop importation of honey to try and protect our bee industry here as well, which is just a small industry at the moment. Thank you. Yeah,
we also have I guess on our side, because we know we're stopping the import of honey, we provide free honey to the local community on a fair use basis, of course, and so that we don't, we know we're stopping honey coming in. So yeah, that's part of our side of the equation.
All right. Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks, Alistair. Great conversation. In the interests of time, I may move us on to Byron, actually. I believe you're up next with our extension tip session. I'll stop sharing.
All right, let me see how I go here with my share. Okay, can everybody see what I'm sharing there?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Fantastic. All right, folks. Well, look, this section here, just an extension tip session where we're going to take a little what do I do there? Sorry. Yeah, just wanted to spend a little bit of time just, I guess, profiling AFB, identification control. Appreciate that AFB is not present in every jurisdiction that's represented here on the call, but again, just food for thought. AFB is in the area, and we thought it would be handy just to quickly profile it and get this session. So, all right. So just quickly, what are we talking about with AFB? What does it look like? What are you looking for in your hive? I guess what we talk about, as far as AFB is concerned, what we like to talk about is really, in order to make an effective visual diagnosis, it's really handy to understand what normal worker brood looks like. And then basically compare what healthy brood looks like with something that looks abnormal. So as an example there, looking at a healthy brood frame on your left, and in contrast, something that's not particularly healthy on the right. And we can talk about a few of those symptoms in the following slides. So when you're looking in your hive, if you're looking for this sort of thing, your healthy brood, what we typically talk about there is we talk about nice dome cappings. We talk about that color there that you see on the left, sort of what we would call a normal colored capping, perhaps. And then if we contrast that, on the right, in the waiting room, on the right there, we see we see sunken cappings, we see a discoloration, we see a sort of an oily look to the cappings. We also see the holes in the cappings, the irregular holes in the cappings where the bees have started to chew to remove that infected material. So those are the sorts of things that you can perhaps look for if you're looking for AFB in a hive. Down the bottom there, you'll see on the left a reasonably tight brood pattern. In contrast, on the right, you see what we talk about as pepper potting. There's also a lot of other stuff you're seeing there. You're seeing a lot of chewed cappings on that right-hand side as well, a lot of other indications of an unhealthy brood pattern, an unhealthy brood. Okay, I forgot about those little circles. If we take a cross-section, just really to help understand some of the following slides. On the left, again, we've got some healthy brood. On the right, we've got brood that is affected by American foul brood disease. So you'll see the coloration, the nice white color of the brood on the left. On the right, by contrast, you're seeing what we talk about as sort of a coffee-colored brood. It's probably coffee with milk, if we're being honest. But anyway, you'll see in the top there, up the top there, the larvae has lost its segmentation. And down the bottom, if you're looking at the pupae, you see the pupae starting to decompose. But what you're also seeing there is you're seeing the pupal tongue. That's that part that's sticking out and has attached to the top of the cell. Now, how that presents when you're inspecting, if you suspect a cell, if you're having a look at one of these cells and you're thinking, oh, I'm just not happy with that, it doesn't look right. What AFB will do is if you if you insert a matchstick or something like that, a piece of stick, and gradually draw out the material, it will what they call it will rope. It's a consistent rope. It will stretch out sort of 25, 35 mil, and once it breaks, it sort of snaps back a little bit. So it's a classic sign of AFB, and it's something we would call the rope. Well, we would call it the ropiness test. And you won't get that same behaviour with any other brood disease. In addition, and you might remember back to those cross sections a couple of slides ago, As the scale dries down, the scale will form a very hard scale, and the scale does stick to the cell. Very, very difficult to remove, but often you'll see the pupal tongue sticking up like what you're seeing there, and that's kind of how it presents looking down the cell. So obviously we don't have the benefit of having the cross-sectional view that you saw a couple of slides ago. So that pupal tongue is unique to American foulbrood disease. A frame analysis here. We won't spend, in the interest of time, we won't spend too long here. There's quite a lot of conversation I could have around this particular slide and the frame that we're looking at. But I just invite you to, when you're looking at a frame for American foulbrood disease, a few things you can look for, but one of the things is to look at those cells that haven't emerged where the cells around them have. And if you have a look across on the right-hand side, out towards that outer arc of brood, there's some cells just further in that haven't emerged where those around them have, and they've got those what we call the chewed cappings. So those would be cells you'd be concerned about. Would be uncapping those, and would be putting a little stick in to see if the material ropes out. Okay, so in terms of American foulbrood disease, in terms of identification of American foulbrood disease, I guess what we would be advocating is that we'd be advocating regular inspection of beehives, and obviously regular inspection by somebody who knows what they're looking for. So we're really keen on educating as much as we can, so that as many pairs of eyes that are looking in beehives are knowing what AFB looks like. And in terms of the inspection, every brood frame should be inspected to get maximum sensitivity. So that's the gold standard, if you like. In terms of control, well, basically with American foulbrood disease, it's a spore-forming bacteria. It's very hardy. It sticks around. It has, there's varying opinions on the lifespan of American foulbrood disease, but I think we can safely talk about it having a similar lifespan to us, decades in a spore form. And so when you identify cases, you've really got to remove them from the beekeeping operation. So the colony itself plus any gear that's associated with that colony. So in New Zealand, we're trying to eliminate American foulbrood disease from managed colonies, and so we take a fairly extreme approach, you might say, where we mandate destruction by fire. So that's what you're seeing there in the picture is essentially our American foulbrood disease control technique. Oops. In terms of prevention, I guess we're talking about inspection already. So as far as trying to keep it out of your operation, trying to keep it out of an area, we would advise checking the disease status of any introduced bees or equipment. So if you're introducing new stuff, if you're taking swarms from somewhere, we would advocate keeping them a little bit separate to start with. And just keeping an eye on it rather than integrating those into your beekeeping operation straight away. And also, of course, we would also advocate inspecting the hive prior to removing anything. And that just means that anything you take off, you can be reasonably confident is free of American foulbrood disease. But all of that said, regardless, we would encourage keeping traceability records as well. I mean, it's as good as our inspections are, we can always miss things. Unfortunately, we can have situations where AFB is at a subclinical level in hives, and so despite our best efforts, it is possible for AFB to spread without being detected. and therefore those traceability records become really important. So, if you're splitting hives, have a record showing, that what hive the daughter comes from, so to speak, that kind of thing. Prevention stuff, cleaning and disinfecting between inspections. Basic stuff. There's an example on your right there of hive tool being flamed, but just making sure you're cleaning and disinfecting is just a standard part of your process. And the other thing around prevention would be just to consider quarantine for susceptible hives and susceptible equipment. So if you found AFB somewhere, it's often a really good idea to just try and keep those hives that were in, perhaps even in the same apiary as an AFB hive, just be careful about spreading those around the rest of your operation for a wee while. So sometimes it's often a good idea just to keep those by themselves, kind of in a sort of a quarantine, if you like, for 12 or 18 months, just to make sure that the disease hasn't spread to any of them. Finally, some reference material. There is this is not supposed to be an advertisement, but there is a nice text on the elimination of American foulbrood disease without the use of drugs. It was written by a guy, Mark Goodwin, who many of you will either know or have heard of, but just recommend that as a really handy textbook for American foulbrood disease and its control. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Byron. Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay. I see that we're rapidly running out of time. Welcome to those who have joined us in the last few minutes. We are running a little bit out of time. We're going to head into the biosecurity watch section now, which we'd like to be an ongoing feature of the monthly Pacific Bee Talk. And it's certainly something that I don't want to have to rush through, given its critical nature. But for this session, we're just going to be profiling it, really, and then open floor again. Really what I wanted to share was some of the findings that we've come across recently regarding bee surveillance and biosecurity in the Pacific. We find that surveillance happens not continuously, but more on an opportunistic basis. For example, when we're doing disease surveillance or at a border inspection. We know that there is a struggle for resource in a lot of places, and that biosecurity departments may have other priorities. We don't always have the people on the ground specialised in apiculture to be where we want them to be all the time. And that when we do find something, it may not be that we have the resources readily available to just jump on it and get rid of it, whatever that may be, either from a people perspective, biosecurity officers, or perhaps even a legislative perspective. So what power do we have to deal with pests and incursions and diseases? Just some findings there. Really, this is something that we all know. That's why you're all here. But I'm going to take this opportunity to hammer it home again, that regional coordination is absolutely critical. Amongst us, we share trade routes, transshipping, containers. We share our risk pathways, airports, tourist spots, ports, and we share our pests, AFB, tropicalaps, varroa mites, whatever that may be. So we need to start having these discussions and establishing these regional networks to keep in touch with one another for emerging threats, alerts, and updates. And this is what I hope that this Pacific Bee Talk Monthly Forum will be able to at least be part of the way towards doing something like that. So we need you to speak up and we need your input for future sessions. And we hope to, invite bee researchers, scientists, beekeepers, extension officers to speak on these matters. In New Zealand at the moment, we have we have an incursion happening of Vespa velutina, the yellow-legged hornet. Surveillance projects are trying to find things, build confidence, but they're just a piece of the puzzle. What we really need are people on the ground who are aware of what bad looks like, what we don't want. We also need passive surveillance, not just active surveillance. We need our beekeepers and people looking in hives to realize when something is foreign or exotic or unwanted. I was listening to the UFL. I think there's a podcast, Two Bees in a Podcast. It's a great podcast just recently. And they were talking about the guy who discovered this Vespa velutina in Georgia in the United States. And it was a beekeeper who was a hobbyist style beekeeper, not had been doing it for overly long, and he was sat there watching his hive and noticed that there was something out of the ordinary, something didn't look right, something was doing horrible things to his bees, and he made the call to reach out to somebody. So my question to you is, if you see something which looks unusual or horrid or out of place, like the AFB or a different bee species, do you know who in your local networks you should reach out to and connect with? And if not, let's start having those discussions and building those networks. And that's enough from me. Again, we are at 4 o'clock already. We have a little bit more to do. Does anyone have anything that they can add here at this point? Emerging threats, surveillance updates, or anything that we can add to the next session, to next month's session. If you've got any bright ideas, there'll be a survey afterwards, or pop it in the chat.
Yeah, something from me, Gilbert Vanuatu. Most of our countries are made up of groups of isolated islands. And as well as having borders, each of our groups of isolated islands can be risky to move bees and equipment between islands, and we can keep different groups free from pests and diseases, and that's an important little tidbit.
Couldn't agree more, Gilbert. Thank you so much. I know that, a safe space or an isolated island, if we can protect those populations, perhaps even restock within a country from those populations. That's absolutely wonderful advice. Thank you. Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, okay. I'm Martin Piner from the Papua New Guinea Biosecurity.
Hi.
Thanks for hosting this the show and the initiatives that's been undertaken. I think it's very important for the region, Pacific region. I'm just trying to find out, will there be in future include those organizations like the CSIRO, ACR, who are doing a lot of work on surveys in biosecurity and all that, so that they give us a fair perspective of where we are in each of the respective countries in terms of the status of bee pests and diseases. So so having said that, there is a suspicion of small hive beetle in Papua New Guinea, and the work has been done by ACR in consultation with the Coffee Industry Corporation and the Department of Agriculture and Livestock in Papua New Guinea.
Mm.
But it hasn't come through officially through the Biosecurity Authority channels to verify that. So I would guess what I'm trying to say is that maybe hosting events like this Zoom sessions, maybe they can be, we should give them an invite so that they can come and enlighten us where we are in terms of work done and things like that. So that's what I'm trying to put across to the floor, and that's a concern I have as a biosecurity person.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Martin, for your comments and for being here and for your expertise. I couldn't agree with you more. We certainly have been in touch with Dr. Cooper and others from ACIAR, and the whole purpose of this is so that we can start connecting and bringing them along, and so that we can build on each other's efforts, and so that we're not redoing work all of the time. We need to share resources and understanding and knowledge of what's happening across the region. I think they couldn't, unfortunately, attend today, but certainly I will be looking to yourselves, Papua New Guinea, and people like the ACIR researchers and others to speak up and come forward and share with us and tell us what's going on. That's exactly what we're trying to do. So thank you.
Ilona, a question from the floor. Will disease training be made available on the site visits? Can the Pacific Island beekeepers have an opportunity to be trained up to be inspectors? And just a comment that this is a pathway to supporting the lack of resources.
Yeah, that's a great question. So under the current project, the beekeeper training that will be occurring alongside the pest and disease survey will be a basic hands-on beekeeper training at this point, but we certainly had intended in the larger project for much more robust beekeeper training, such as management or productivity or queen rearing, those kinds of things about maximizing production. Nevertheless, I wouldn't want to give a group of beekeepers a training without at least showing them some of the pests and diseases that we should be looking out for, particular to their region, particular to that context. And that is something which we will work together with the country representatives well in advance of going to the country to see what your exact needs are. Exactly. Good question.
Thanks, Ilona. No more from the floor at this stage.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Byron. And really now we're up to kind of the last session, which we've sort of already started talking to a little bit, but this is where we ask for any further requests for support or your ideas like Martin has had, or Cecilia or Gilbert, anything that you have to share to help each other out or reach out to connect. This is the time to do it. Any experiences that we can learn from, or really just an open floor for any other questions or comments that haven't come up yet.
Okay. Martin from Papua New Guinea again.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes. I just want to make some input here on from the biosecurity perspective in terms of having an early warning system geared toward for the agriculture industry. I'm speaking from experience where we had two indications. One is the varroa mite in 2009, and then we had Tropilalaps, which was detected by Dr. Dennis Anderson back in 2007. It didn't get anywhere until it crossed into another province, and then the alert came in, and we were able to contain it, and possibly we would have eliminated, but resources didn't allow us to do that. So what I'm trying to get at is that from learning from that bad experience, what needs done is to have established a specific fund to respond to bee diseases, any new indication swiftly. That's exactly what's needed. Anybody can report, sure enough. but how soon can you get there to address the situation and contain it and eliminate it? That is very worrying for Papua New Guinea, and that's the experience we had with Tropicali Labs. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Martin. Again, your insight is really valuable. Papua New Guinea is operating on a different scale altogether, you know, with regards to your geographical challenges as well, and the pure size of your land and your country. Your experience really hits the nail on the head, I guess, is having that resource ready to go and ready to respond, and having the training available. And again, to speak to this larger Pacific BEE project that we're working on selling, I guess, would be one of those outputs was certainly about having greater capacity on the ground for response and surveillance and activity. We absolutely couldn't agree more that's also needed. Unfortunately, you know, we see with projects that biosecurity or training capacity is often not the new, you know, attractive, wonderful thing. It's often more attractive just to buy a bunch of beehives and give them to people, and that's not what we want. So that's our challenge, and that's what we need to work on together. Thank you for your input.
Another question from the floor, Alona, and this is a follow on from the Papua New Guinea conversation, but can it kind of feel like you might like to answer it from a wider perspective? But the question, at least, is what will be the sample size and geographical coverage in Papua New Guinea and the method of survey?
Oh, crikey, that's a big question.
That's right. Thank you for asking that, Byron. Papua New Guinea, as you know, is larger geographical landmass compared to rest of our Pacific neighbors, other than Australia. So you're talking a lot about a lot of challenges with terrain and things like that, and also the literacy level of the community. But also educating farmers, beekeepers, and all that, extension officers, and other stakeholders. So a big challenge, but I think the desire to learn new things, the desire to persevere with the industry is there. The determination is there, but the support is lacking. That's the biggest challenge for Papua New Guinea, as I see.
Yeah, it's the sustainability. It's really getting something in place that's not just this project finishes, now we walk away. Now there's another project and it finishes and then we walk away. It's about driving, you know, local ongoing mechanisms like the Pacific Apiculture Network that Hildegard's talking about. That's what will make the difference. To the question raised about how we will go about surveilling Papua New Guinea, or indeed any other country, that's something that we reach out to you in good time, our focal points and our experts on the ground, to start looking at the apiaries, where they're located, what kind of percentage representation do we want. So that's something that we reach out on a case-by-case basis quite a few months ahead of starting to come to your countries.
We are happy to engage and provide the necessary information in terms of sites and locations where to visit, where the hub of the industry and all that. So
awesome.
Should be okay.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Yep, can't wait. Can't wait for it all to happen. Thank you so much for your comments.
Yeah, can I just add something?
Yes.
Yeah, from regarding the Asia project, yes, I'm one of the team members working with the Asia Honeybee project in Goroka.
Ah, cool.
Yes, thank you. From SHP, it was first noticed and reported to National DAL back in 2023. And later was DAL, we reported it to proper authorities, NACIA, but maybe it was not communicated to the head office. So yeah, we had the incassin back in 2023, and it's now becoming a widespread issue here to beekeepers in Goroka. We are now heading to the most devastated symptoms for SHB, honey fermented and flowing out of the boxes. And so we've also established a map for the SHB distribution. And at the moment now, we do not have any biosecurity measures in place, especially in pots for early detection. Like probably you might heard of Australia, they're having these sentinel hives in pots. Yes, maybe that's something we can look into here in Papua New Guinea, at least to have some sentinel hives at the pots for early detections, and maybe for quarterly inspections on those sentinel hives for pests as well as diseases. And also we can do, if it's possible, we can, I know PNGBA have a lab for doing other proper detection for diseases like AFB and EFP2. So yeah, there's history of AFB already in Papua New Guinea, but was been eradicated by the DPI officers at the time. All the boxes were bent out. So yeah, I believe this project will help very much in terms of bee biosecurity for Papua New Guinea.
Thank you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but really you sound like a fantastic contributor for an upcoming Pacific Bee Talk session, you know, so I'm not gonna force you into it, but I think you have a lot of valuable insight from us. I'm just going to put it out there. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. In the interests of closing before it's dark, I think we probably ought to move on. Are there any final questions or comments from the floor before we look to close?
Nothing from the chat, Alana.
Awesome. Thanks, Byron.
I have one question.
Hello.
Hi. I just wanted to know, for the visits of the countries you guys are planning to do so, what are the scopes that are you willing to cover? Is just on disease management and the training purposes, or will be focusing on other areas as well?
That's a great question. The purpose of the BEE project, I believe Hildegard put a link into the chat there, but it is an STDF project, so it's a trade enabling project. We're looking to firstly identify what is in the country by way of pest and disease, official diagnostic testing, get that sorted, get the baseline apiary data, and then look to see how that could be increased safely, if at all. And that includes obviously enabling beekeepers and extension officers to be better beekeepers. As we've spoken, this first part of the project, this 3-year project, is more limited, but it's like the stepping stone to the greater project, where we can talk about a whole more range of really cool stuff, like, you know, regional networks for biosecurity and harmonized systems and apiary databases and all of that kind of stuff. Does that sort of answer your question?
Yes, and just to have a counter question to that, yeah. So, you guys have any provisions for marketing as a Pacific honey brand or anything on that? I understand you don't want to get to the commercial side of it, but marketing, or because the end goal of any beekeeper or any country to push on beekeeping is produce more honey, and at the end market that honey outside as well. So in that case, most of the Pacific Island countries are limited to the resources to access external markets, most probably to the North American, Europe, and as well as the Middle East market. So in that cases, scenarios that we will need inputs from big agencies like you guys, BIFON, and so forth, that can assist us in getting access to that places. Will that be also accounted in those places?
For future reference, absolutely, we're looking at enabling trade, and that means getting more of your honey offshore. That's what we want to do. So yes, that is the end goal. It's not immediate, but you know, a large part of what Byron and I actually do with Assure Quality is not to go on, but we actually go around and assess New Zealand beekeepers' honey and their honey processing premises and the exporters and the packers, and we actually look against our quality systems and our legislation. So we're very well aware of what it takes to get, you know, that honey to market and how to go about it. So we, at our core, understand the need for things like traceability and, you know, some kind of standards around food safety, just making sure that you've got the infrastructure to get your product to these places. But yeah, we're baby steps now. The first step is to go into country and see what we've got, see what we're dealing with, and see how we can expand for the next step.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for your comment. All right.
Could I say a couple? Oh,
yes,
sorry, just say quickly.
Yes.
Pacific Trade and Investors, who we've worked through and got a lot of support from in terms of marketing and developing a product. So that would be a good first port of call. And they've been very helpful to us and understand what we're trying to do. And as you say, you've got your eye on the market. You've got to, there's sustainability, and that's bee stock and beekeeping, but it's also making a living at the end of the day, and to encourage people into the industry and to spread apiculture. It's got to be a viable, sustainable business. And that's even true for biosecurity, because unless it's people making a living out of it, they're not going to worry about incursions of new diseases, not going to care about lobbying government for better biosecurity. So it's all kind of part of the mix. And so, yeah, but I would hope that the project heads that way eventually. But in the short term, I would go to Pacific Trade and Invest, and I'm happy to introduce you, actually, if you would like, and see what they have to say in terms of helping and giving you some direction on how to market a product. Yeah.
Thanks, Richie.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, some really valuable stuff. Okay, so I thank you all so much for your contributions and your expertise throughout our first session. I do apologize that we've run over. It was ambitious, probably trying to fit it all into 1 hour, but we've launched, as you could say. We've launched and we've come together, so thank you. We've set the scene. We hope that the future sessions will become more about your voices and your updates. We want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from me. I don't want to hear from me. We want to hear from you. So please reach out. There'll be, again, as I said, a short survey sent out to everybody. We'll share the slides from today, and let's stay connected. We really are looking forward to continuing these conversations and building this network together. Let's close with a short prayer. God, we give thanks for the time that we've shared together today in this space, for the open conversations and the knowledge which has been really generously offered here. We ask for your blessing over the work ahead of us, significant work ahead of us for our beekeepers, our communities, and the bees themselves, who continue to support our land, food, and livelihoods. Guide us as we leave this session and help us carry forward what we've learned today with care, commitment, and connection. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Ka kite, everyone.
Ka kite, Alistair. Me take.
See you later.
See ya.
Yeah.
How do we get out of this?